You're with Grove Travelers, and we're at the Palmer House right here in Sauk Center, Minnesota. We're going to be doing an investigation in the room tonight. You'll see lots of activity, at least we're hoping to. Some of the claims that were in this room is that children are playing, they're playing with the toys, and there's blocks all over the place. And then one of the things that you're going to hear a story from the owner, Kelly, is Scooby-Doo. We all know Scooby-Doo as a kid, as in one of those earlier Ghost Adventure shows, as in cartoons, you know, Shaggy and Scooby going out and solving crimes. Well, in this instance, Scooby-Doo follows the owner Kelly around. She would leave the Scooby-Doo here in the room, and then she would be cleaning rooms. And she would notice, she would go in the hallway, all of a sudden Scooby-Doo is in the hallway. She would go back in the room and she would turn around and Scooby-Doo's at the door. So it was kind of following around, kind of really a creep factor out. So this is just one of the incidences right here with Scooby-Doo and the rest of the toys in this room. So we hope you enjoy your time with us and enjoy the show. Okay, go ahead, Patrick.
I'd like to say thank you for doing this short interview with us.
My pleasure. Thank you for asking.
You're welcome. I would like to ask, what's some kind of history about the Palmer House?
You know, as many times as I've been here and the thousands of places I've been, the history starts blending for me. So I'm not always the greatest historian. Kelly's probably a much better person on the history, but I mean, this place has been around forever, and it's had such a great history, from being a hotel to, I think it was the Sauk Hotel or something like that. Then it turned into the Palmer House when Mr. Palmer bought it. There's been fires here. They've used the basement as temporary morgues. When the hospital was overrun with the influenza break, I know that they used to bring some of the patients here. So there's quite a bit of history that's gone on, a lot of death associated. It was a brothel at one time. So there's been just all types of different aspects of the hotel. So there's, you know, kind of a rich history of people that have come and gone.
What kind of experiences that you had while you were doing your events here and also when you stayed here?
The first time I came to the Palmer House, I didn't know if I really believed it was haunted. It was right at the moment when every hotel started to claim that they were haunted, just to get business. So I came in and I met with Kelly Freeze, the owner, and she walked me around and was telling me the stories. And I just didn't feel anything. I didn't feel like it was haunted. I didn't feel anything. And I'm not a psychic or a medium, so I was trying to be as open-minded, but I didn't get any kind of vibe. And then we stood in Lucy's room, room 17. And the door, when it's propped all the way open, the carpet rises a little bit so the door goes up on it so it sticks. You have to physically push it.
Yep.
And even when you push it, it just kind of slowly shuts. Well, I was standing there talking to Kelly, and I said, she goes, well, Lucy doesn't really like men in her room. And I was trying to be a smart aleck, and I said, well, too bad, Lucy, looks like you get me for the night. And the door swung and slammed shut. And it's hard to slam that door shut. You have to really try. And there was nobody there. It was me and then Kelly standing directly in front of me. So that was my first indoctrination into dealing with the ghosts of the Palmer. That night, she walked around my bed all night long. All I could hear were footsteps going back and forth. And at first I thought it was somebody on the top floor walking around their room. And then I realized I am the top floor. And that unnerved me a little bit. And then as I started to finally fall asleep and I rolled over and faced Lucy's chair, I heard this very loud exhale come from the chair. I didn't sleep that night, so that was kind of my first indoctrination. And then I've seen things in the basement. A face kind of rushed out of the darkness and scared two women and I that were down there. I filmed an episode of Ghost Adventures here.
Okay.
And while I was upstairs with Nick in Lucy's room doing a radio session with the Shack Hack, and Zach was down in the basement digging for bones to see what he could find under the stairs. And at one point I asked the question, I said, is there anybody here that's in danger tonight? And this really creepy voice came over the radio, and it said, Zach Baggins, ha ha ha. And it freaked us out, so we went down to play it for Zach. And if you've seen the episode, he was not happy about that response.
No,
so,
I wouldn't be either.
Right. So those are some of my favorite experiences here so far.
What do you think? What's the most active spot in the whole hotel?
You know, the basement seems to be the most active in the sense of really creeping people out. But Lucy's room never seems to let people down. We've caught video in there of anomalous figures standing on the bed or walking around the room. We've heard it. I've heard the sighs, the door slam. So that's been the most physically active room. But in the basement, we've had a lot of EVP, electronic voice phenomenon. We've had a lot of other communication that way.
Okay. What's your favorite piece of equipment that you ever used at the Palmer House that's mostly worked the best here?
Well, the SLS camera from digitaldowsing.com, Bill Chappell's company. It's a great camera, and that's one that you see on Ghost Adventures. When you're looking around, it'll map in like a skeletal figure, like a stick figure, if it sees a human form. And we've caught some really intriguing pieces of evidence with that. As a matter of fact, when I was in Lucy's room filming, a friend of mine was sitting in one chair facing Lucy's chair when a stick figure appeared behind the chair and then came around and sat in the chair, and then my friend began conversing with Lucy, and she started to share her story that her grandmother had just passed. And so you were my friend and she mentions that story, and you see the stick figure reach out and kind of pat her on the leg, like, oh, it's okay, you know, you're fine. And it was really kind of neat to see this. But then another stick figure appeared, and Lucy stood up and moved closer to my friend, and the stick figure appeared around the side of the chair and then kind of climbed up the ceiling and climbed underneath the overhang. It went from like a human form into like this giant spider looking thing, and then went into the other room and then crawled back out again, and then danced around a little bit and then turned into a human form and froze my camera. So that's kind of a neat camera, because when you can see what's going on around you that your visual spectrum can't pick up, that's pretty exciting. So I like that, but I've had really good results with the shack hacks and the spirit boxes, because I've heard really strange responses, immediate responses to questions. So that's been a pretty big favorite of mine too.
Do you think the spirits here are nice or malevolent to the people that stay here?
You know, I've never had a scary experience. I've been shocked a few times when that face kind of came up. It unnerved me. It didn't frighten me, and it wasn't like it was carrying a knife or trying to hurt us or anything. It was just more unnerving. So I would say not malevolent. I don't think they're evil. But I think sometimes they're just like us. They like to play jokes. And if they know there's a bunch of fidgety, scared people, they don't have a problem giving you a little boo just to get you, you know? So that, I think that's about the extent of the ghosts that live here.
Do you think from all the places that you ever visited across the United States, do you think this is your most favorite haunt?
Well, it's definitely one of my favorites. I would say this Mansfield Reformatory in Ohio is great. Mm-hmm. Rolling Hills in, I think it's East Bethany, New York, is really active and very good. Waverly Hills Sanitarium in Louisville, Kentucky is one of my all-time favorites. But I would say that the Palmer House easily sits atop that pile with those big dogs as a really great active place.
Yeah, I agree. This place, the employees here in Kelly's is the most kind people you'll ever meet.
Right. Well, you guys got to use the SLS camera during your investigation.
Yeah.
And you had kind of a weird experience in the bathroom with it, didn't you?
Yeah, my dad's behind the camera right now, but we had the SLS in the bathroom. We saw a stick figure standing in the bathroom, and it was like sitting on the toilet.
Right.
And it walked to the sink. It was like washing its hands.
Well, at least it's a clean ghost.
Yeah, that's
right?
that's what Dad said. And it walked out, and it was just like that.
Very cool. Yeah, so there's a lot of excitement going on here, a lot of weird things. But that even opens up the idea of what are we really experiencing? Is it dead people? Or is it kind of a window in time? Are we just seeing something play out that's happened here before? And I mean, who would think a ghost is here pooping and then has to go wash its hands, right? I mean, it's a ghost. So it makes you wonder if we're just kind of seeing a moment in time replay itself, and that's what we caught on that video. Because I would like to think after we die, I don't have to continue to poop.
No, me neither.
Right, that's a good, maybe EVP, but not EV poop, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
What kind of haunting do you think this is? Do you think it's intelligent, or do you think it's just a tape player?
I think it's a mixture. I think it's an intelligent haunting in a few areas, and I think some of it is, I hesitate to call it a residual haunting, because then that makes it seem like there's nothing of intelligent nature going on. I feel like it's more like it's living its life simultaneously while we are. and it may just not be as aware of us as we are of it. I just think it's like pages in a book, right? This spot that we're sitting in right now has always existed. Dinosaurs roamed the earth, then there was man and caves, and then we built roads and we built the Palmer House, and 100 years from now this will be a space station room or something right there. But this space has always existed. So I look at it like a book. The beginning of time is the back cover. The end of time is the top cover. And all those pages take up the exact same space, right?
Yep.
So I think that once in a while, like when you get a page wet, you know how you can start to see the lettering of the page below it? I think sometimes there's just that little ping in time, and it allows you to see through the other veils of what took place in this exact same place in time. But I believe it's going on for them at that moment. And that's why some ghosts will see us and seem just as shocked of us as we are of them. And when you look at places that, you know, Grandma and Grandpa built this house. It used to be a cornfield. There was nothing here, right?
Yep.
How can it be haunted? Grandma's sitting in the living room one day watching Jeopardy. And at 3 o'clock, these 3 shadowy figures walk in, see her, turn around and run out of the room. So now going forward, everybody knows Grandma's house is haunted, right?
Yeah.
But nobody died there. There's never been a death. It wasn't an old Indian burial ground, so what was that? But then a few years later, Grandma dies. And me and my 2 buddies walk into the living room to watch TV, and lo and behold, there's the ghost of my grandmother sitting in the chair. We look at her and we turn around and run out. So who was really haunting who, right?
Yeah.
Was she seeing a reflection of time of something to come, and we were seeing a reflection of time of something that already happened? And those 2 moments just touched together at the right time and right place, and for that brief second, we saw Grandma. And it was kind of like a quick window opened up and you could see somebody and then it shut again. So I think that might be more of what's going on truly than just we leave our bodies and we stay hanging around. I would like to think that when I die, I get to go someplace better.
Yeah, I agree.
So not just hanging around the Palmer House or hanging around, Grandma's cellar or creepy basement or attic as a ghost. Why would you hang out there?
I would.
Right, so I hope we're moving on. So that's why I think it's more of just these reflections of time that we're experiencing.
I agree. Well, Dave, I'd like to say thank you so much for taking your time throughout your busy schedule for this event and come talking with us, doing a short interview with us.
Sure, well, thank you for asking me.
Well,
Thanks for
thank
coming
you.
out. All right.
All right, Kelly. Thank you so much for having us here. This has been a great time. Patrick and I have been here since Thursday. Today's Saturday morning. I can't wait to get tonight to do some investigations. But I was wondering if you could just take a couple minutes, kind of introduce yourself and introduce the Palmer House to everybody.
Yes, I'd be happy to. And it's really fun to have you here. I've exchanged enough emails with you. It's fun to finally meet you guys. My husband and I purchased the Palmer House in the beginning of 2002. It had been closed at that time. The previous owners had walked away from it. And we just felt it was something that was important to keep going, and it wasn't looking like anybody else was interested. So we decided to give it a shot and maybe try to get it up and running, have it become a viable business, that it might be interesting to somebody else who actually knew what they were doing and was maybe passionate about the hospitality industry, which at that point we would have been happy to have walked away. And here I am all these years later. The Palmer House was built in 1901 after a fire had destroyed the previous business, which was the Sauk Center House. Similar situation, food, liquor, few sleeping rooms for people coming in on the stagecoach and later on the train. And the Palmer House stands today and operates as the day it was built. So that's one of the things that actually makes it very unique, is probably the longevity of the business, even more so than the building itself. But a lot of interesting history here. Sinclair Lewis, the first American to win the Nobel Prize for Literature, was born and raised in Sauk Center. And when he was in high school, at the time that the Palmer House was built, he actually worked here as a night clerk on and off for a few times. Didn't always do really well at his job, staying awake at night and making sure that the guests got their wake-up calls to catch the train in the morning. So that's why he was on and off a few times. But a lot of interesting history in the Palmer House and Sauk Center in general.
Now, what's bringing us here tonight, there's obviously a history of hauntings. Now, can you tell me some of the experiences that you and your family experienced?
You know, it's interesting. I didn't know anything about it at the time that we bought the Palmer House. And shortly after we had opened up, one of the locals, while visiting with me, asking me how things were going, I think I had made a passing comment about very strange things happen here. And what their statement to me was, well, it's haunted. And I was like, excuse me? And they said, well, the Palmer House is haunted. It always has been. Everybody knows that. Well, me not being a local, I did not know that. So that was my first introduction into what it maybe gave explanation to a lot of the strange things that went on. And so over the course of time, I've had a lot of varied experiences. The first 2 years I was here, actually what I exclusively did was all the housekeeping. So, you know, during the weekdays in the middle of the day when there wasn't even a hotel guest and I could casually take my time cleaning the rooms, I could tell you stories about every single room that happened, whether it was my name being called or being touched or interestingly enough, there was a stuffed Scooby-Doo in the building that used to follow me around when I would do housekeeping, and ironically it took me a while to even put two and two together that Scooby-Doo was from a ghost hunting cartoon of my childhood. And so, you know, there was just absolutely no explanation for so many things. And the longer I've been here, I think the more apt you are to just notice what isn't normal and what is. And there starts being a much more distinction about it. And there's not a day that something doesn't go by, whether it be very simple, listening to the bell ring at the front desk, like somebody standing there tapping it like they want their attention, and you can simply lean and look out the door right from here and go, oh, no, there's nobody there, I don't need to run, where in the beginning they had us doing a lot of running with things like that. And so, yeah, it's been an evolution of things.
Now, you told me an interesting story last night that kind of goes contrary to what people think about ghosts, that you can kind of see through them and they don't look, you know, as solid as you and I, but you were telling me a story last night where you ran into a real solid ghost that you thought was real.
Oh,
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
yeah, I was actually just happened to be passing through the lobby area on my way actually into the dining room when I saw somebody, a woman, enter the building from the far end of the room. And so I was just taking a couple steps toward her and waiting for her to walk closer to me before I greeted her. And once she got close enough that I didn't feel like I was shouting at her, I said, well, welcome to the Palmer House. Are you joining us for a bite to eat today? And as soon as I finished saying that, from behind me I heard one of the gals here say, Kelly. And so I immediately turned to look at her, and the rest of what came out of her mouth was, who are you talking to? And I turned around with my hand to go, well, what? And they weren't there, and yet there was, I literally had approached somebody, started engaging in conversation that didn't exist, and there was not a shred of any of it that would have indicated it wasn't a person from today. There was nothing about their clothing, there was nothing about, nothing physical about them that would have indicated they weren't real or also not of this time period.
Good. Now, that's an experience that all paranormal investigators would just love to have, and very few of us do have. But speaking of paranormal investigators, I understand that you had ghost adventures here, and you and Zach Bagans had a very interesting experience in the basement that people have seen probably countless of times on the episode. But can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it was actually the very first day that they were working. And, you know, just to be fair, I've never watched the show in my life. And so, quite honestly, that morning before I came in, had actually said to my husband, I probably should Google who these people are so I recognize them and know what their names are. And So with that being said, I really didn't even know what the background of the show was, what it was about. To me, it was somebody coming in to do something and the building was just playing host to them. I had no idea that I was part of that equation. I thought I was just the girl to be in the background and, hey, we need an extension cord, or hey, we need duct tape. And so Zach had approached me to say, Kelly, I want to talk to you a minute. And so I was following him, actually downstairs, and in my head I was thinking he was probably just going to be looking for light switches or things. And he took me into this room that had 2 chairs and cameras and lights, and he went, sit down, we're going to interview you. And yeah, I had no idea. I had absolutely no idea. And while we were visiting a little bit, he ended up taking a break and going upstairs, as did everybody else, with the exception of one cameraman, I think. And I was just sitting there. This cameraman had his back to me as he was working on adjusting his equipment, and I started to tell him I was feeling very strange. And with his back to me, he continued talking and saying, yeah, it was really strange. He said, in my whole career of doing this, I've never ever had to cease filming. I'm really glad Zach took a break, because I was going to have to call it myself, because I needed to sit down. I needed a break. I didn't understand what was happening. And as he finished saying that, I said, no, something's really wrong. And all I remember is him running out of the building, yelling up the stairs for Zach, and Zach coming down, and Zach immediately came over and knelt beside me, was very concerned, wanted to remove me from the room, and I said, no, I'm not leaving. I need to know. This is my place, and I need to hold my ground and understand what this is. So at that point, Zach then, I think, called to Aaron and Nick and whoever else was there to get equipment. And so it was kind of later into actually the whole ordeal before the cameras actually started running. And there's a lot of it I don't remember. I just knew somebody was on board with me that wasn't me. And for all of the emotions you saw me going through, it was like internally I was well aware of all of it going on, and also well aware it wasn't me, but I had no control over it. It wasn't terribly frightening. It was a little unsettling. I'd never had anything quite that intense before, but that was very interesting, and the whole crew couldn't have been more kind and more considerate, and they were far more concerned about me than they were about trying to get footage for something, and I just have a deep level of respect for them. They were always checking in on me, making sure I was okay, and that was of the utmost importance to them. It was an amazing experience with them.
But it sounded like you had a positive experience with Ghost Adventures and the crew that came out.
Most definitely.
Well, I wanted to thank you for taking the time and sharing this beautiful facility. You have wonderful staff. They've been nothing but kind. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome.
Yep, it's rolling.
Same as last seat, I got a chair for you. The kids' room is down that way. I'll turn on the SLS in Dave's room. I've got the Connect set up in
I want to hit Ravens, right?
Yep, we haven't hit there yet. What are you guys feeling?
cold. It just got really cold. Yeah, because even my hoodie's cold.
You feel it?
Yeah.
I've got the wrong equipment.
Dad, you want my K2 meter?
No, I was gonna ask him to bring his flare camera back in here, because it felt like the temperature just really got cold.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
like
still
to actually
feeling it.
test it, cause yeah, I just feel like my imagination could run wild, you know? I can't go by my feelings.
Yeah, but you've got other people
Yeah.
It's
verifying.
weird because like when you said that, like I didn't really feel it. Then all of a sudden, like you can feel it on my clothes. The temperature of my clothes has dropped down.
That's what I felt in the bathroom last night. Like I felt cold coming in, and it leaves.
Where are you feeling?
Towards the bathroom door.
It was,
It's
it first hit here, and then he felt it, and then.
Like I'm still feeling it. It's like a breeze blowing on my chest.
That's what it was more like a breeze. You're absolutely right. You mind if I sit in her chair?
Oh, yeah, cool.
See if that'll do something. Yeah, I'm afraid it's, Patrick, want to try the children's room?
Yeah, we can hit that place again.
All right.
Kids room?
What's that? All right, let's do it. Sorry if she spooked you. That can happen when you least expect it like that.
Oh, Tara scared him.
No,
It's scary.
no, that was here in the corner. No, he got his hair pulled.
Oh, he did?
He did, he said, give me a sign, and
Boo.
Just funny, cause we were just talking about her.
Any experience in here yet?
No, not yet.
The group before us didn't get anything either.
well, if there's anybody in here who'd love to interact with you. If you can move one of the balls or the blocks, pick up a block, throw it at PJ, throw it at me.
You're more than welcome to.
My name's Patrick, can you tell me your name? I thought I heard him say
Time to change. I'm guessing we're on the second floor.
We're on the third floor. Come to the second floor.
Yep.
Second floor. Come on down to the cafe level. Sonia, can you go give a call to the basement dwellers? Third floor, just hang out here on the second floor. You guys can head on down to room 11. You guys get any K2 conversations? All right, you guys are coming down and you're going to go into the cafe
something that you heard about his, but mine's just not as clear.
Dad, if you want, we can investigate our room.
Well, let's give this one a try. We haven't been to this one. Number one.
I'm gonna get my K2 meter out.
That's what I should do.
Find it?
Stop this thing. Hey.
Hello.
Hello.
Come on in.
I got my K2 too.
Yay.
Came up and said still, so I stopped. And then it came up and said something.
That's neat. That's weird.
Weird, yeah. That looks like a great idea.
Right? Yes.
Yeah.
Come in and get comfortable because Miss Annie is very shy. So she gets nervous when there's
Mind if I read?
Nope, come on in. Hey, Miss Annie, there's another group coming in. It's okay. I promise it'll all be fine. I won't leave you here, okay?
I'll even sit in the corner.
So what's Annie's story? Miss Annie. Miss Annie is, she's like in her 20s, and she lived here for quite a while. Don't know the exact time period, early 1900s, and, she used to stand out this window and watch the trains come in, because it used to be a little block that way, and she fell in love with a salesman, and he was going to leave his wife for her, but she became with child, and so he decided not to. So she just sits and waits. And I think if you guys saw the pictures I had yesterday, the one with the lady in the
Yep.
window, that's Miss Annie. So she's really shy. She gets intimidated really easy because for her time period to be that young and with child was just not what you should do. Oh, you're so right by you, PJ. These are not big bright lights. Perfect. Yay. Alright,
Yeah, brother.
alright. Are the three boys in here?
My dad's a father.
What's a brother and then father?
And there's another dad in the room too.
Up here. Alone.
Do you appear alone?
It's funny when it says
Dollar.
If the little kids are hanging out with us, can you come play with all the little blinking lights that are all over the room? We thought we heard somebody in the last session. Are you still there with us?
I've sent. Major. Monday.
I think it's just spitting out words. Is it that Carlisle likes to smoke?
Yes, Carlisle. If you're Big Carlisle, can Big Carlisle, can you would you mind lighting up one of your cigars for us so we can smell it? I love the smell of your cigars.
And if you light up one of these K2 meters, I have a pack of tobacco in my car. If you want any, you have to light up the lights before I can go get it for you. They're a cherry flavor. And I'll bring in my tobacco pipe for you if you want it.
Dad, you let him have a pipe?
he's gonna be 24.
Top upstairs ago.
Oh,
And so all of it.
laying in bed, I kind of pulled my patch off, looked at my clock, my watch on my hand, and to see what time it was, and I put it back on, trying to debate, should I go back to sleep or not? We need to get out of the road. All of a sudden, I feel on the bed, something goes like this. And it appears to like walk over, and it rests on my shirt, my shoulder, so it physically kind of like had the presence of pushing down lightly on my shoulder. Now, I'm thinking, did some mouse just jump on me? But I'm going to give it a chance, hoping this is a ghost. You know, that's what we've been doing here. We've been waiting to have some kind of interaction with the spirit. And it's just sitting there.